Hey everyone, welcome to Club Cal Online. I'm Grace and I'm here with Greg, and we are going to take you through a stretch upper class. We're going to focus a lot on back bending, we're going to work our bridge, and this one is a little bit more on the advanced side. I will give you some options to scale it back, but we also have more of a beginner focused back bending class as well that you guys can find in our library. What you'll need today is a yoga mat or just some comfortable floor space to do your stretches. We have a bench here. If you guys have a bench or a couch or a chair or some kind of elevated surface that can help you with your back bend, you might not need it, but it's good to have handy just in case. And then you'll also need just a little bit of wall space, just enough kind of for your own body width to work with. All right. Once you have those things gathered, we're going to start warming up, and we're just going to start with some cat-cows. So I'll have Greg show this on the mat. You're just going to come down onto hands and knees, and you're going to start by arching your back, dropping your chest towards the ground, lifting the chin, and just getting a nice arch in the spine. And then you're going to reverse that and round, so pulling the ribs in, pulling the belly button in. And we're going to go for about a minute. You guys can join in at any point. And all we're doing is just trying to warm up the shoulders, warm up the muscles of the back to get us ready to stretch those things out. And all of the stretches that we're going to do today are going to help us build up into our bridge. And again, I will give you guys options to make it easier, more challenging when we get there. Looks good so far. We're about halfway through. And as you guys go through these cat-cows, feel free to take any other movement that feels good. You can kind of bend side to side. Yeah, you can see Greg kind of taking some circles. Feel free to take whatever organic movement feels good here. There's really no right or wrong. We're warming up, getting some blood flow, doing whatever feels good here. 3, 2, 1, and rest. We're going to flip it over and do some table rocks. I'll have Greg show those as well. So now you're going belly side up, feet are out in front of you, hands are behind you, and from here you're going to drive the hips up towards the ceiling, roll the shoulders back, and you should feel a really nice shoulder stretch. And we're just going to go up and down for a minute. And you guys will notice that Greg has really good shoulder mobility, so his hips are going super high. Which is impressive. Yours may not look like that today. Your hips might only be coming 6 to 8 inches off the floor, and that's totally fine. Wherever your range of motion at is totally fine. Go to where you feel a stretch in your shoulders. And we're just kind of using that hip drive to stretch the shoulders, the front of the chest as well. Little over halfway, no rush on this, guys. You can take it slow. Perfect. We got about 10 more seconds. Let's get 1 to 2 more reps in here. Good. Using that hip drive to stretch the shoulders. 3, 2, 1, and rest. And we're going to move into a down dog to up dog or plank. And we won't spend as much time in this one, only about 30 seconds, but you're going to start in your down dog, so hips in the air, pushing armpits towards the thighs. Then you're going to come forward either just to a plank, you can stop there, or you can take it into your up dog, arching the back, pulling the shoulders down away from the ears. And we're just going to go back and forth between the two for about 30 seconds. If you've never done this before, or you're not feeling warmed up enough to go into that back bend, feel free to just stop in the plank. Right? No big deal. We've got lots of opportunities to arch our backs later on. We're just trying to warm up our shoulders here. Halfway. Awesome. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, we're going to go into our first stretch. We're going to focus first on the shoulders a little bit, and then we'll move into our back bend. So this is where you'll use your platform. You can also do this stretch on the wall. We're just going to do a shoulder flexion stretch. So you're going to bring your hands on the bench, and you want to make sure that your hands are shoulder width apart. Ideally, if you have to bring them a little bit wider, you can. And then all we're gonna do, as you can see Greg doing, just push the armpits towards the floor. You'll also notice that he's keeping his back flat. We want to keep the stretch in the shoulders and not arch the back yet. We will do that later on, but for now, we're just gonna hold it just like this for a minute. And you'll probably feel a stretch somewhere on the outside of the armpit, kind of into those lats or serratus, maybe triceps. Kind of just depends on where you're tightest. And if you do feel any discomfort or pinching in the shoulders, you can go a little bit wider with those hands just to take some of that pressure off. If you can comfortably go shoulder width apart, go ahead and take that position. We are halfway. And try to take some deep breaths here. We want to relax the shoulders into this stretch. You'll be a little bit active in your core, but shoulders stay relaxed, pushing them down. Good, good, good. Almost there. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come on out for a second. If you need to, roll out the shoulders. We're gonna go into that position again, but this time we're gonna do it with bent elbows. So you're gonna bring your elbows onto the bench. Hands are gonna come to the back of your shoulder blades, or palms can be together. And then the position of everything else is the same, right? You can see Greg actively keeping his back flat. There's no arch going on there. And then he's just pushing his armpits towards the floor. This is just gonna allow us to feel this a little bit more in the triceps. But you might still feel it in the lats or serratus. It really just depends on your body and where you're tightest. Oops, I didn't start my timer. We'll go for approximately a minute. Should feel good on those triceps. Taking some deep breaths here, trying to relax through the shoulders. Another way to kind of adjust the intensity here is you can move your knees forward and back. Bringing them closer to the bench is just going to take some pressure off. Taking them farther back will give you a deeper stretch. Experiment with it. Find a stretch that feels good for your shoulders. We've got about 15 seconds. Enjoy it. Take those deep breaths. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. Okay, and we're gonna go back to that first one, the straight arm one, but this time I'm gonna allow you to arch your back. So we are stretching the shoulders still, but we're gonna allow it to go into our spine as well and start to get into a little bit of back bending. So setup is the same, hands shoulder width apart if you can. And then this time, you're just gonna allow your chest to drop towards the floor. Yep, there you go. And as you can see, this time Greg has that little bit of an arch, right? He's just kind of allowing his chest and his stomach to drop towards the floor. Good, good, good. So still feeling the stretch in the shoulders, but now we're letting it go into a little bit of a back bend as well here. And this one can also be adjusted a little bit with the position of the knees. Knees can come closer, they can come farther away. Another way to scale this back if it becomes too intense is just to do this on the floor. So bring your hands on the floor and then just arch the back and the shoulders down towards the floor. We got about 20 more seconds here. Nice, nice, Greg. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, how you feeling so far? Good, all right. We're gonna move into some cobra push-ups. So for this one, you're gonna start down on your belly and your hands are gonna be right under your shoulders. And what we kind of wanna do here is to allow the back and the spine to be relaxed, and we're gonna use the arms to push us up into an arch, just as far as you're comfortable, right? So yeah, Greg's pretty mobile. He's going all the way up to straight arms. You might not be there today. You might be pushing up to here and then going back down. And we're just gonna do reps for 30 seconds. So again, this spine and back are mostly relaxed. We're using the strength and the tension of the arms to push into that back bend. That's awesome. Good, good, good. And be listening to the lower back here. We don't want any pain or pinching or discomfort beyond a stretch in that lower back. Keep the shoulders down away from the ears as you press up. Lift the chest. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. We're going to do a second round of that, but before we do, you can actually stay on your belly. We're going to take another shoulder stretch. Capsule stretch is a really simple one, but also one of my favorites. You're going to bring one arm underneath the body, just like Greg is doing, and then the other arm reaches out front, and you'll most likely feel a stretch somewhere on the outside of the arm. If it's uncomfortable to be down on the floor like this, you can also just come up to a seated position and just bring one arm across your chest just like this. And we'll hold about 30 seconds per side, and then we're going to do another round of those cobras. If anyone out there is super, super bendy and you don't feel any stretch in this position, you can take the double capsule where you bring both arms underneath your chest. That one's a lot, but can feel good on people who have pretty flexible shoulders. And let's go ahead and switch sides. Let's get that other arm under. We'll go for another 30 seconds or so here. And just relax. Allow the weight of your body and of your chest to get that shoulder stretch. And again, if it's uncomfortable to be belly side down in this position, come up, just pull that arm across the chest. All right, looks good. Let's release out of that, and we're gonna go into our second round of the Cobra push-ups. It's the exact same thing, 30 seconds up and down. This time, let's see if we can pause for a second or two at the top and really get into that back bend and begin. Awesome, that's so great. And again, you guys will notice at the top of this, even though Greg is fully extended through the elbows, his shoulders stay down away from the ears. Common mistake here is to end up in this position at the top, and we don't want to do that. We want to keep the shoulder blades depressed, keeping those lats engaged. That's excellent. Awesome. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. While we're down on our bellies, we're going to take another shoulder stretch. This one's a letter T stretch. So one arm is going to come out to a letter T. As you'll see, Greg has his elbow and his shoulder touching the floor. Then he's just going to roll his body over that arm until he feels a stretch. He is very mobile, so he's bringing that other arm all the way to his hand. Most of us are not going to be there today. You're just going to roll your body as far as you need to get that stretch. That's impressive. And we'll just take some deep breaths here, relax into it. You'll probably feel this stretch either on the front of the shoulder, maybe in the bicep, maybe in the chest, maybe a combination of all of the above. Just depends on your body, where you're tightest. And we'll take this one to about 45 seconds. We'll spend a little bit longer in this one. Good, good. And release. Take it over to the other side. Bring that arm out to a letter T. And then same thing, guys. You're just going to roll your body. And then just allow the weight of your body and your chest to kind of pull yourself into the stretch. Again, advanced, more bendy people might be able to interlace their hands like Greg is doing. If not, you'll still feel a great stretch just by rolling your body over that arm. Got about 15 more seconds here. Deep breaths, relax the shoulders. 3, 2, and 1, release it. All right. Before we go upside down into our bridge, we're gonna spend a little bit of time just stretching out our wrists and our hip flexors, other parts of the body that can limit how far into our bridge we can go. So we're just gonna start with some wrist stretches. So bringing the palms down, fingers facing you, just like so. And then you can either just hold it here and take some deep breaths. You can take some side to side movement. You can go forward and back, take circles, pedal it out. I'll just spend some time here stretching out the wrists. So again, when we're upside down in that bridge, if your wrists are really tight, or even if your shoulders are tight, it can kind of affect the angle of that wrist. So important that we give the wrist a little bit of love here before we go upside down. Excellent. We're going to keep those palms down, but then we're going to turn the hands forward. So we want to spread the fingers really wide, straighten out those elbows all the way, and then same thing, you can either just lean forward and hold, you can go side to side, take some circles. If you've ever taken any of our handstand classes or planche classes, you've seen these stretches, right? We do these a ton just to get the wrists ready for being on our hands. Greg, when you're in your bridge, what is it, your shoulders, wrists, back? What's like the thing that you feel the most? Shoulders, okay, yeah. That's pretty common. I think for most people, that's the limiting factor, right? Is that shoulder flexion. Yeah. All right, the next one we're gonna do is just a hip flexor stretch. So again, when we're in our back bend, that's something that can be a limiting factor as well. So all we're gonna do is we're just gonna take a lunge. So one leg forward, back knee on the ground, and we're just gonna hang here. And again, there's lots of options. You can just hold it, you can take some bounces, you can do a little side to side movement. What we're aiming for is to feel a stretch here, right? So that when we back bend, it's not just going all into our lower back, right? That's nice and open. A little bit of the balance element there too, as you can see. And we're gonna hold this one for a minute per side. If you really wanna get deep into it, again, I'm just kind of giving you guys a lot of options, but you can bend the back leg and you can grab that knee. It's really gonna intensify that quad and hip flexor stretch. And before we go upside down, we're only gonna do this one stretch, but guys, if you're here and it feels really intense, or you know you have really tight hip flexors and quads, it might be a good idea to spend a little bit more time here before going upside down. So you're always welcome to pause the video, get another minute per side, maybe get that quad stretch. But otherwise, we're just gonna do a minute per side here. And go ahead and release it. Let's take it over to the other side. And hold, and same thing, you can just hold it in place. You can take some pulses in and out of it, maybe some side to side movement, whatever feels good here. Maybe you grab that foot if you did so on the other side. Lots of options here for you. If you're feeling a little bit wobbly here, or you're having a hard time keeping the chest up, you can do this lunge next to your bench or your couch or whatever platform you're using and just kind of hold on to it. If you have yoga blocks, you can use yoga blocks. Ten more seconds here. 3, 2, 1, and rest. All right. Now we are ready to go upside down, guys. We're gonna go into our bridge holds next. Again, please, 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 if you need more time stretching the hip flexors, doing any of the previous stretches that we did to get ready for it, please feel free to spend more time on that. Otherwise, we're gonna go upside down. So if you feel comfortable doing a full bridge with your feet on the floor, of course, that's always an option. That's the most advanced option. If you're not ready to go into that yet, what I'll have you do is do it with your feet elevated. So feet up on a couch, a bench, a stair, whatever you can find. The higher the platform, the easier the bridge will be, but also the higher the platform, it's a little bit harder to push up into it. So just be aware of that. You might have to play around with some different heights. We're gonna do sets of 20-second holds. Do the best you can. Feel free to come down out of it before the 20 seconds if you need to. Okay, are you ready? We're gonna do 3 rounds at 20 seconds and we'll have a nice long break in between. So Greg is doing it with feet elevated. So you can see he's starting with his feet on the bench. I'm gonna hold it so it doesn't slide. And then whenever you guys are ready, you're gonna flip hands by the ears, just like Greg is doing. Drive with the hips, push up into that bridge. That's awesome. And aim to drive the shoulders forward as much as possible, right? Getting as much of that stretch into the shoulders and upper back as you can. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and come on down. Very nice. He's coming down nice and slow. Go ahead and pull your knees into your chest while you're on your back side. And we're just gonna kind of hold this position here. You can kind of rock side to side. We're gonna do this in between each round. If there's something else that feels good to you that you need to do before we go into our next round, feel free. And just like we just did, we're gonna do 2 more rounds of 20-second holds. And again, you might have to play around with the height. If you started off with something too high and it'll make it harder to push up into it, you might have to start lower, walk your feet up higher. Okay, you ready? Let's go into round 2. So same setup, flip your hands right by your ears, drive with the hips, that'll help you get up into it, and push up. Does require a little bit of arm strength to push up into it. So if you're finding that difficult, just know that that's normal. Awesome, Greg. Yep, actively push the shoulders forward, push the armpits forward. 3, 2, and 1. Come on down. Very nice. Bring the knees into the chest. And we'll take a little bit longer here. We'll take a full minute of rest here before we go into that last round. If after doing this a couple times, you're starting to feel more open and you're ready to bring your feet to the floor or feet a little bit lower, you're welcome to try that. If not, stay right where you're at. You can even bring the feet higher if you need to scale it back a little bit. We'll take another 20 seconds or so just to rest the arms, rest the back. It can be a lot of work holding yourself in that bridge position. Okay, ready? Last round. Let's do it. Drive with the hips to help get you up into it. Yes, nice, Greg. We're working our arms a little bit. This is a hard stretch class. Good, good. Awesome. Active upper back, drive the chest forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, and come on down. Woo. Good stuff. Bring the knees into the chest one more time, guys. We got one more exercise today. Now would be a good time if you need a little bit of a break, if you need a drink of water, to pause the video, take that little bit of a break. We have one more exercise that we're going to do for our shoulders and our back bend. Okay, we're going to move to the wall. And we're going to work some walk downs. So for anyone who might be working on learning to drop back into a bridge or just to create more mobility in that bridge position, this is a great one for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with your back facing the wall. I would start off, especially if you've never done this before, a little bit closer to the wall. The closer you are, the easier it's going to be. It's a lot better to start close and then walk away if you need to than to be too far away and then kind of have to flail your way out of it. So starting fairly close, you're going to lift the arms up. Okay, really active here. Lift the chest up towards the ceiling. Actively pull the arms back, and you can either just tap the arms on the wall and come back up. That's a great place to stop if that's where you're at. Or you reach back, tap the wall, and start to walk your way down the wall, right? Keeping the chest elevated as far as you're comfortable, and then come back out of it. Okay, and we're gonna do this for time, and we're only gonna do it once today. So we're gonna do it for a minute, just practicing that movement, walking down, walking up, or maybe you're just reaching back and tapping. All right, ready? Let's go for it. Nice, and he's starting pretty far away right off the bat. That's awesome. And when you guys come up, find a little bit of abdominal engagement, right? So that you're supporting your low back in that way. This is a tough movement. It can be really intense on the low back, so make sure you're listening to your body. If you're not going very far today, that's okay. This one takes some practice and some time just to build up that mobility. Nice, Greg. If you happen to have stall bars at home, we're halfway, by the way, this is a really great one to do on stall bars because you can grab the bars and kind of support yourself as you go back. We're showing this one on the wall today. Nice, Greg, that's awesome. We have 15 more seconds. Let's get one more rep in. How are you feeling? Everything okay? Okay. Yeah, it's a tough one. A little bit more on the advanced side today. If you guys are super mobile, maybe you're walking your hands all the way down into that bridge, that's awesome. You can stop there. Nice work. Yeah, all right. So we are only doing one round of that today, again, because it can be kind of intense on the shoulders, but as always, guys, you guys are welcome to pause the video, do another set, play with it a little bit more, and then when you're ready, we have one more stretch to finish with. So you guys can come on back to the floor. All we're gonna finish with is just a really gentle twist. You're gonna come onto your backside, bring one knee into the chest, and then you're just gonna take that knee over to the opposite side and just hold it. And this should feel really good after that back bending. We're gonna spend about a minute here. And just relax, maybe take some deep breaths in this position. It can feel really nice after all that back bending to move the lower back in a different way. We'll take about 10 more seconds on this side. And let's switch it over to that other side. Bring the knee into the chest. And twist it over. That opposite arm is kind of in that letter T. And just a reminder today, guys, especially if you found this really challenging or your shoulders are really tight, just a reminder that this takes time, right? It takes a lot of time to build this flexibility, especially if you were not a gymnast or a dancer when you were younger. It just takes time and it takes patience. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. I'll take another 15 seconds or so here. And go ahead and come on out of it. Nice job. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you next time.